I don't care.
Hello, welcome to today's episode of Juicing the Numbers, your statistics and sports podcast. I am one of your hosts, Joshua Tracy.
And I am Corwin Heller.
And we're coming at you a day later than we usually do. You're listening to this on Friday. We usually drop on Thursdays. We're recording this on Thursday. Corwin and I had anticipated talking about the Yankees-Angels game that was supposed to happen today on July 1st because we were supposed to be there and got rained out. Such is life. So we essentially delayed this for nothing, but how would we know? So, oh well. Would have been cool.
Would have, but hey, now we can wait until August 13th.
16th.
16th. Good thing I didn't request off work yet.
Oh, gotta love it. Yeah. So instead it was just a meaningless day, we took off of work to like hang out and not watch baseball. And I was like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, to see friends. Ugh.
Bowling? Ugh. We've discovered Corwin is secretly very good at bowling.
No, we discovered that I'm really bad at bowling, but got incredibly lucky by the end.
Strike City over there.
Through like the first 7 frames, I think I had 6 points. And Corwin then I just happened to get like 4 strikes throughout the rest of the like 2 games we played.
It became the 2 true outcomes bowler, strike or gutter ball.
I would either pull it so hard I would throw it into the gutter, or it just happened to just slowly roll into a strike.
Swinging for the fences on every pitch, man. Every swing. The example doesn't really translate well at that point, but oh well. Yeah. Also, it was funny because the what do you call that shit? Animations on the board. Like I think a lot of bowling alleys do like baseball themed ones, but it's awkward because if you miss while batting and you get a strike, that's not good. If you're bowling and you knock down all the pins, that's a strike and it's wonderful. And because they share that term to have exact opposite meanings, it doesn't really translate well on the animation either. And it was very like, oh, I get what you were going for, but not quite. Kind of feeling the whole time. So that was fun.
It still was a fun time. I haven't been bowling in probably 15 years at least. Maybe not 15 because that's when I was 8, maybe like 12. But yeah, bowling alleys still kind of gross. They were gross back then, but even now with COVID and everything, it's like they're still pretty gross. But this was still much nicer than any bowling alley I ever remember going to as a kid. So I'll give it that. But yeah, it's fun for about 2 games, and then it gets real old.
Yeah, it would have been tough to do more. But anyway, This is not a bowling podcast.
Nope. Please don't ever try and get us to talk about it again.
Yeah, that was the first and last mention of bowling on this podcast, I would assume. So instead, we're going to start by talking about, I guess the second topic we're going to talk about, since we just talked about bowling, is another sport that we don't often talk about anymore on the podcast, and that's hockey. Because as the regular season has ended quite some time ago, and we're now in the midst of the Stanley Cup playoffs, we're talking awards. The awards for the regular season players have started to be announced. So if we give some shout outs to some players who did some really cool shit this season. And starting at the tip of the top, the MVP award, the Hart Memorial Trophy, was awarded to Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers in what is a not surprising event.
Decision.
Yeah, because he led the NHL with 105 points, got 33 goals and 72 assists in only 56 games, which for anyone unaware, the NHL typically plays 82 games. They played a slightly shortened season. He's the only guy to get a unanimous MVP award other than Wayne Gretzky himself. So is
he a good player to compare him to?
One would surmise. It's quite a fucking accomplishment.
100 points in 56 games is stupid. in this day and age. Are you kidding? Oh my god.
As someone who has Connor McDavid on his fantasy hockey team and yet still did not make the playoffs, it hurts to be alive. But
Your team was really bad this year.
they were really, and I forgot to set my lineup very frequently. So
Yeah. I mean,
anyway,
just looking over his stats, this is his third Art Ross trophy in the last 5 seasons. That's just that's just insane.
he's so
It's
good.
he is very good. Two-time
Has
Pearson Trophy winner, second Hart Trophy. This guy, Connor McDavid, pretty good at hockey. He's just got so much ahead of him. He's still only 24. He's 24 years old.
I know it's unreal to think. And like he won his first MVP in 2017, and that he was 20. And it's also unreal because Connor McDavid is playing this game at such a ridiculous level, a truly generational level. But because it's hockey, and to an even larger extent because it's Edmonton, really doesn't get quite the same level of recognition that he would get, even if he was playing in, still obviously hockey, but playing in a city like Pittsburgh, which has a great hockey tradition. New York, obviously, because it's just
There's
a
a
big media
couple guys
market.
from Pittsburgh who have been known to kind of have that mantle, so I think it would
Yeah,
fit.
I mean, you think of like Jaromir Jagr, like everyone. I mean, you couldn't like look at a hockey stick in the '90s without thinking of Jaromir Jagr. You know what I mean? Especially his Pittsburgh days. Um,
hmm
you think about like Bobby Orr for Boston has like a huge, you know, there's still a lot of people who like when they see a puck, it's like a fucking Bobby Orr. You compare every defenseman who's ever been alive to Bobby Orr,
Right.
like, and obviously, Boston also being one of those cities, even LA to a large extent, like Anze Kopitar has had quite an audience when he was, um, in his prime with LA, and I think that's part of the downside to small media markets in general, and also in the NHL is it's tough to get a recognition out of obviously NHL fans. Tangential NHL fans know who Connor McDavid is, because he's just that talented, and he's quite young. He has lots of time to grow more for reputation. Obviously, Gretzky found a lot of fame in Edmonton because he was the greatest player of all time and played a significant portion of his best years in Edmonton. But it's very tough because it is in the middle of nowhere, and not many people care about hockey, which is a shame. But it's super cool to witness. And if you've ever thought about maybe watching hockey, fucking do it and watch Connor McDavid, and it will make it very obvious what good hockey should be. It's like trying to figure out what good pitching looks like if you never watched baseball and turning on a Jacob deGrom game. Like you're going to be like, oh, there it is. Yep, I see what it's supposed to be now.
Right.
Yeah. Except for tonight, but that's okay. I know.
It happens.
Yeah, truly. I mean, it's literally his first mildly rough start of the season. It's not even that bad. So anyway, the Vezina Trophy went to Marc-Andre Fleury of the Vegas Golden Knights. Somehow, this is Marc-Andre Fleury's first time winning the Vezina Trophy, which you would not expect because he has had such an illustrious career up to this point. But this is his first honor. He had a career high save percent at .928. And a goals against average of 198. So nothing got by him this season. A Golden Knights first historic monumental achievement, a Golden Knights first. And really a super fun win for one of hockey's easiest people to root for.
Yeah, I mean, Flower has long been my favorite player in the NHL, going back to his Pittsburgh days. I love him as a person. I love him as a player. He's, behind what the fuck's his name? From the
Team.
Panthers, the defenseman, funny guy. Doesn't matter. One of the funniest guys in the NHL. I am really upset that he didn't win his first trophy with the Pittsburgh Penguins because there were many years where he was in the running and definitely should have won one with Pittsburgh in my mind. But God, I'm just happy for Flower to actually get there.
Yeah, it is a wonderful thing.
Keith Yandel is who I was
thinking of. Okay. Yeah. I got
I kept saying Yans in my head because I know that's his nickname. And I was just like, that's not helping me extrapolate to what this actual name is.
It's like, who the fuck are you? Yeah, it's wild. It's also wild to think that, like he's been doing this for 17 years, Flowers, and 13 years in Pittsburgh. This is just his fourth season in Vegas. Um, he's obviously got Vezina votes before. His highest vote season was actually his first season in um, sorry, his first time cracking top five was actually his first season in Vegas, when he finished fifth, finished fourth the year after that. Didn't get any votes in the shortened season last year, and then ended up obviously taking it this season, which is just so wonderful for him. And it's amazing that he's been able to be the cornerstone of this Vegas Golden Knights team at a point in which Pittsburgh let him go because they had like a new young guy. And obviously no one thought Marc-Andre Fleury was like bad. I mean, obviously he was a good goalie when he was there. The Pittsburgh Penguins just had another younger goalie that obviously they could only protect one of in the expansion draft. So they let Flowers go. And then he has become like the rock of the Vegas Golden Knights. And it's so cool to see like later career dudes be able to do that. And at such a high degree that he took on literally the Vezina. So fucking good for you, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Flower, please stay in the NHL forever. You're too good. We don't deserve you.
I know. All right, so then we're looking at the James Norris Memorial Trophy, which goes to the best defenseman, and that went to hometown,
Boo.
New York
Boo.
Ranger, Adam Fox.
Boo.
You cannot boo this man. He is too dirty fucking nasty. What? Yeah, Adam Fox had a stupid good season. He had only 5 goals, but defenseman, they don't expect that. He had 42 assists in 55 games. What the fuck? It's just so many. He barely found himself in the penalty box, only collected 14 minutes for the whole season. He had 20 even strength assists to 21 power play assists and a shorthanded assist. So really was effective in all phases of the
Wow.
game. What?
How many are you looking at his stats right now?
Yeah, I'm on his hockey reference page.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Okay.
How many blocks do you think he had?
Oh, that's a great question.
For reference, I'm looking at Cale Makar's stats. He had 36 blocks on the season.
All right, I won't go crazy.
And he was the guy I wanted to give I would have given the Norris to this year. So what's your number for Adam Fox?
45.
Good. 102.
Oh my god. What?
Yeah.
Is that a real number? Oh my god.
Yeah, 102 blocks. He had 92 last year too, in 70 games. 55 games this year, 102 blocks. Only 23 hits, which is genuinely surprising. But still, great season.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
such
will
a ridiculous
say,
season.
he's a better defenseman than Cale Makar is right now. I mean, Cale Makar, offensive wizard, absolute, one of the best skaters outright in the NHL, let alone as a defenseman. But he'll have his time. He'll get his Norris trophies. He will have several. So I can't fault Adam Fox for having a career year and taking it home. Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think Tony DeAngelo is a little jealous right now?
I think Tony DeAngelo can straight up go fuck himself and shoot himself into the sun. He's an irrelevant person and a bad guy. So he can hop in his little cannon and then just fire his ass straight to the sun. So lick my balls, Tony DeAngelo. Punk guy's a little bitch, Anthony DeAngelo.
I was gonna start this with no offense to Tony DeAngelo, but he's such a piece of shit that I kind of want to offend him. He seems like a serious closeted homosexual who happens to just outwardly talk about how much he despises that kind of lifestyle, and it's just an awful person all around.
Yeah, I mean, he also created a burner account just to argue with Rangers fans on Twitter, but he's also like not good and a huge Trump supporter and an asshole. So again, he can go pound sand up his ass. Which is one of my favorite expressions because the image of it is hilarious and means nothing. But anyway, so shouts to you, Adam Fox, bringing the fun to Ranger Town. The Calder Memorial Trophy, which goes to essentially is the Rookie of the Year trophy, this year went to Kirill Kaprizov from the Minnesota Wild. He got all but one vote for this award, 99 out of 100. So he had his Derek Jeter moment, which, fuck you, whoever is the 100th guy that didn't vote for him. Had a great season. 27 goals, 24 assists as a rookie. It's just huge. The Minnesota Wild have been a very lopsided team for a very long time. But with a breakout candidate in Kirill Kaprizov, you got to have some hope for that. Again, very constantly underwhelming franchise.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm super excited to see Jason Robertson after he came out of nowhere and kind of took the league by storm, or not the league by storm, but played such an important role for Dallas this year. It was really cool seeing that, especially since he was on my fantasy team. That's why I'm talking so much talk. Part of me is kind of upset that Montreal's guy from Wisconsin, Cole Caulfield. I'm upset that he didn't get a single vote just because of the playoffs. That would have been hilarious. But by all means, it was Kaprizov's from the beginning. From the start of the season, it was his to take home.
Yeah, I mean, he was literally the lead scorer on the Minnesota Wild, and to do that as a rookie is insane. He had 11 more points than the next guy, who was Kevin Fiala. Also, to have these two young dudes, Kaprizov, who's 23, and Fiala, who's 24, be your two lead point getters is very exciting for that team. Third place, former Ranger, and in my heart, still a Ranger, Matt Zuccarello. I love you so much, you short man. Yeah, but the wingers on the team are wonderful. It is the everything else that is the problem. So, oh God.
Marco Rossi, please come in next year and save that team because Minnesota deserves it.
I guess. No, they don't. They really don't deserve this because they retired number one at their third season or whatever because their fans are the best, and that is so fucking lame. You deserve to be a very middling franchise for a few years after you do that because that is so fucking cringy.
Yeah, it's not ideal. But to move on to something that's a little crazy, I'm seeing a picture of Keandre Miller. Does he shave lines into his eyebrows? Does he have racing
Yes.
stripes on his eyebrows?
Yes, he does.
All right, I'm glad I traded him to you because I that's just too much for me.
I love Condre Miller. I
Yeah,
can't
I
wait
would
for
too.
him.
I would too.
Yeah, he's so exciting. All right. Anyway, we'll get there, I suppose, at some point. The Art Ross Trophy, which goes to the lead point getter in the NHL, is going to no shit Connor McDavid. We just mentioned the fact that he had the most points in the NHL when mentioning his Hart Trophy, his MVP award. So obviously he's taking home the Art Ross as well. Yeah, it's a huge head scratcher how he ended up with that one. But my God, is there anything he can't do? The answer to that is no.
Oh my God.
It's disgusting. He has taken the Art Ross Trophy in 3 of the last 5 seasons. So that's stupid. He has won the Art Ross Trophy earned really the same number of years he has not earned the Art Ross Trophy. That is a bullshit sentence. That's like if you came up as a hitter in MLB and you had earned the batting title as many times as you hadn't earned the batting title in your first 6 seasons in baseball. That's fucking stupid.
Can we find out if anyone's actually done that? We don't need to do it right now, but at some point.
It's just so stupid. It's just so stupid.
I assume you don't have the point leaderboard up in front of you, and if you
I do not.
Okay. Connor McDavid, 105 points. We both know that. Do you know who second was?
Who second was? Artemi Panarin. I have no idea.
Artemi Panarin was tied for 13th with 58 points.
All right, who was it?
His teammate and power play line mate Leon Draisaitl with 84 points, a 21-point difference between the two. Third place, any guesses? You just want to take a wild guess?
Uh, Krejci.
Krejci, not even in the top 20. Brad Marchand, his
Fuck
teammate,
myself. Ah,
with 69 points, pretty nice. That's a 36-point difference between first and third place. That's just crazy.
goddamn.
Absolutely crazy. He had a 72 assist lead over Leon Draisaitl for tops in the league, and was second to Austin Matthews in goals by 8, 41 to 33. Quite a
Man,
season for the best player in hockey.
yeah, you could literally add
Literally.
all of Max Pacioretty's points to all of Nicholas Backstrom's points and still have fewer than Connor McDavid's points by one. I mean, it just doesn't even make any sense. Those are two very good hockey players.
Yeah. It's Connor McDavid. I don't want him to get traded because I think having him in Edmonton is a good thing for hockey. Having him be in on a Canadian team and a team like Edmonton. I just wish they were able to do something to build a team around two of the top, 5 players in hockey.
For reference, again, since we don't talk about hockey very frequently, and I'm assuming most people who listen to this are baseball people, because at that point it's the sport we talk about the most.
Mhm.
The Angels with Mike Trout is such a better team than the Oilers with Connor McDavid.
Right.
It in the weirdest way, because I mean, as hapless as the Angels always are, and how much less one player can do on a baseball team than one player can do on a hockey team. Not to say that one player can truly carry a team. You only get so many shifts, so many minutes, etc. But still, you get more opportunity to touch the puck than you do get to be in the batter's box, so on and so forth.
And
The
by all
the
means, you can score at least a run or at least a goal every game or score a point,
Theoretically,
get a
absolutely,
point.
yeah.
Over a point per game is the top in the league every single year. I don't know the last time, the league leader in points scored under a point per game. If you scored a run or had an RBI in 162 games, you're setting MLB records. You're blowing those records out of the water.
Yeah,
I
a
think. I
100
don't
RBI
actually know,
season
but
is
that's crazy.
certainly accomplishable. Like people
Yeah.
absolutely do it in a given season. It doesn't happen all the time, but it absolutely happens with a mild frequency. But like Corwin said, could you imagine a 162 RBI season and that
No.
being every
Oh
year?
my God, no.
Um, and again, like the Oilers with McDavid have been closer to the Tigers after they shed all of their good pitching than they have been any. Like you would imagine, we're describing how amazing, and we're going to mention Connor McDavid again in a minute for taking home another award, but
Because he's the best player in hockey, and they take
by a
home
stupid
awards. And
margin.
yeah, right.
Yeah, like you would assume that we're talking about like a Golden State Warriors team with Steph Curry, and no, we're talking about the Detroit Tigers with like Miguel Cabrera, but good, like young. I mean young, and still winning at the same clip as like today's Detroit Tigers. It doesn't make any sense. It's genuinely astonishing.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, just real quick, let's take an old peekaroo here at the Edmonton Oilers. So this past season, they were 35 19 and 2, which is actually quite decent. They finished second in the Northern Division because they changed up all the divisions due to COVID and travel restrictions.
Hmm.
Last season, they went 37 25 and 9, which was second in the Pacific Division, which is fine. They made the playoffs that year. That's nice. The year before that, 35 38 and 9, seventh in the NHL Pacific Division. Did not make the playoffs. The year before that, 36 40 and 6, sixth in the Pacific Division. Didn't make the playoffs. And then the 2016-2017 season, which was Connor McDavid's first season in the NHL, 47, 26, and 9. They did finish second in the Pacific and actually made the playoffs. So in Connor McDavid's tenure in the NHL, they have made the playoffs 3 times. Oh, sorry, actually, no, he was a part of the 2015-2016 season. My mistake. They finished 7th in the Pacific, didn't touch the playoffs. So yeah, in his 6 seasons, they've made the playoffs 3 times in varying
Directly than Trout.
circumstances, but that is better. But it's like you have the fact that between each playoff appearance is like a 7th place finish in their division is absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're boom or bust, but when they boom, they're still not even winning the division. And that's the part that's absolutely wild about it. You know, like they don't like their boom wasn't, Golden State Warriors 73-9 season. Their boom is like, hey, we finished second. We didn't suck. We were good. Then we got bumped pretty early in the playoffs. And then their bust seasons are like, well, Connor McDavid had a great year, and that was it. Nice. Yeah, we oh fuck, I hate myself. That's like every other season. It's
that
insane.
is definitely a pretty common phrase Edmonton fans make.
Anyway, yeah. So just real quick, the last award that's been announced, the Ted Lindsay Award, which also goes to Connor McDavid. This is the most outstanding player honor, which gets voted by the Players Association instead of by managers and GMs, which is where the voting for the MVP award comes from.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's a second MVP award as voted on by the players. So Connor McDavid takes home the Ted Lindsay Award as well this season, adding to his so large trophy case full of everything but a Stanley Cup championship ring. I'm so sorry.
Are you?
No. Yeah, so for reference, 3-time All-Star, 2-time Ted Lindsay Award winner, 3-time Art Ross, 2-time Hart, all rookie team. Goddamn, never finished outside of the top 10 of like anything. Stupid. It's so stupid. God, how can you not root for this guy? And he's only 24, man. It's fucking wild. Goddamn.
He's gonna be. I mean, he's gonna finish his career as a top 3 player in the NHL. Like he's gonna be Gretzky, Lemieux, Crosby, and
Crosby still is Nash and Young, man.
Touche.
Yeah, he's fucking like my man is 24 years old. He has 574 career points. Like fucking excuse me.
Yeah. Wow, that is actually fucking insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's yeah.
Wow. I
Real
take
quick.
it back. I don't want him to stay in Edmonton. I want him to get traded to Pittsburgh.
So just for reference, Connor McDavid is currently well, not even 250th on the points leaderboard. That's Joff Sanderson with 700.
I'm sorry. Can you say that name again?
Joff? I'm assuming it's actually pronounced Jeff, but it's Geoff. And if you spell it like that, I'm not going to pronounce it correctly. Out of spite. But here, we'll put it this way. Brad Marchand is 236th on the list with 715 points. Brad Marchand is a very good hockey player. Brad Marchand has played 12 seasons. That's twice as much time as Connor McDavid. And obviously anything can happen. So blindly extrapolating Connor McDavid's statistics out, double his career length is not necessarily a fair and practical thing to do. But fuck it. I'm not a fair and practical guy. Fuck yourself. So if we take Connor McDavid's 574 points and, double it to 1,408, right?
You're
No.
asking me to do math, and I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, honestly, it's like it's been a very long day, and it's
You
like
know what?
9:30 at
I'm gonna
night.
say 4008 is 100% correct.
I just went to my calculator because I don't even feel like doing this. Sorry, 1,148. Jesus, yeah, whew, it's been a long day. Anyway, 1,148 on the career point leaderboard puts him. We're scrolling up a little ways here, aren't we? 1,140. That would put him at 56th. Just in 12 seasons. Like Brad Marchand is going to continue playing hockey for some time. And
Do we care?
well, I would my point is like that's just Brad Marchand.
Do you think he's
Connor
gonna bite
McDavid,
anybody in that time?
and slew foot half the league. Brad Marchand also broke into the league 2 years later by age than Connor McDavid did. So I mean, like, can Connor McDavid catch up to Gretzky? Absolutely not. Like that, those point totals are stupid. Jaromir Jagr couldn't do it in a career that spanned 28 seasons, and he was off by almost 1,000 points. Like it's a stupid thing, but it could very reasonably enter the top 10, like super duper reasonably. Like it's not even that much of a stretch of rationale. So, way to go, McDavid.
Way to go.
Corbett, have you been watching the Stanley Cup playoffs or Stanley Cup Finals?
Not more than just the highlights. I haven't really been watching too much of it.
It's
Actually,
been a
I
lot.
watched a lot of the Islanders games, but
Those were
nothing
great
really since
games.
then. They were.
Yeah, it's been rather lopsided so far. It's only been 2 games so far. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won both. Do you have a rooting interest in these games yet at all?
I want Montreal to win. I'm so
Ooh,
sick of Tampa Bay. You know, seeing Cole Caulfield come in and do this, and you know the young core that they have, and just they have so many young players. Suzuki, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. I have to say the full name to even get close on that last name, but you know, Brandon Gallagher is always a fun player to watch.
Braden Point.
Petrie, yeah, Braden Point, but don't give a shit about him.
I wanted him.
So,
Why don't you give a good shit about Braden Point? Who's their lead point getter this
because I
season?
don't give a shit about Tampa Bay. I don't want to see
Oh,
them win. The fuck?
I do because I refuse to watch Carey Price win.
I don't really have any strong hatred for Carey Price, so
Carey Price is a punk bitch.
which is fine. I get it. Um, but still, you know. Meh.
Also, Montreal doesn't deserve this. They don't.
I think it would be a really fun way to just kind of break the. Well, I guess the Blues did win it when they were not a very good team, and then the Dallas Stars went last year when they shouldn't have any right, or not last year, but was it last year?
Stars? No, I don't think so. No,
No, who
last
did
year
they lose
was
to? Tampa Bay and who?
Tampa beat the Bruins last year. No, that doesn't make any
No,
sense. No, fuck. Who was it?
I don't know.
2020 Stanley Cup. No, it was the Stars. Yeah, it was the Stars.
Hey, I know
Yeah.
something sometimes. But let me think. Yeah, no, just I want to see Montreal win. I really don't like Tampa Bay.
Well, I am indifferent to Tampa Bay, and well, I actually have a small soft spot for Tampa Bay. Ryan McDonough is still on that team. Um, but I truly don't like Carey Price. So Montreal, go fuck yourself. Take Carey Price and shove him up your ass. So,
He's quite large of a human being, especially with pads, so I do not want to have him up my ass.
how large do you think Carey
Oh,
Price is?
6'2", 210.
He is 6'3". I don't see a height or a weight. Hold on, let me pull up his stats
Wait,
page. 215.
yeah, it was
So
close.
you're off by an inch and 5 pounds.
Which
The
extrapolates
Corwin
out
Heller
to
story.
something, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but it has been. I have not watched nearly as much hockey this year as I really should, and hockey is going to be the thing that I commit myself to watching more of next season. When I think I'll have a better attention span for it, but I always
You
make a
say that every
point.
year.
No, I was actually very good about watching hockey like every season for the last 5 years outside of these past 2 seasons because COVID really ruined my ability to consume too much
Oh,
stuff. What?
the National League All-Star starters just got announced.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you
All
want to hear
right,
them?
hold on. Breaking news, folks.
I'm gonna read them because I never get to break news. National
Yeah,
League All-Star starters. First base, Freddie Freeman.
no surprise.
Second base, Adam Frazier. Attaboy. Shortstop, Fernando Tatis Jr. I'm actually upset Cronenworth didn't get in, but I'll accept it. Third base, Nolan Arenado. Catcher, Buster Posey. Outfield, Ronald Acuna Jr., Nick Castellanos, and Jesse Winker.
Oh, and the AL's got announced too.
I would imagine both got announced. I'll let you go with
Yeah.
the IL.
All right, so catcher is going to be Salvador Perez of the Royals.
Mm-hmm.
First base is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. of the Blue Jays. Second base is Marcus Semien of the Blue Jays.
Thank God.
Third base, Rafael Devers of the Red Sox. Shortstop, Xander Bogaerts of the Red Sox. And the outfield is Teoscar Hernandez of the Blue Jays, Aaron Judge of the Yankees, and
Wow.
Mike Trout of the Angels, as well as the designated hitter being Shohei Ohtani of the Angels.
Teoscar Hernandez got voted in as the third spot. That's fucking
Yeah,
insane.
that one's actually very surprising considering who he was up against. Like, not Cedric
Toronto?
Mullins,
Who?
not Adalis Garcia, not Byron Buxton, Teoscar Hernandez.
Is Buxton hurt?
Well, he is hurt, but actually he might be back. But so was Trout. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, but if he's hurt right now, he wouldn't play in the All-Star game, so they wouldn't have him be a starter.
but isn't Trout also hurt right now?
Is he?
Was he? I thought he was. I thought he
I
wasn't
thought
back
he
yet.
was hurt. I
He
don't
didn't.
know.
No, he's on the 60-day IL.
Jesus. Then I don't know how the fuck Teoscar Hernandez got in.
Yeah, that's a
I'm annoyed. I
super
am
weird
heavily
one.
annoyed.
That is a very, very weird one. Byron Buxton, by the way, also on the IL, only on the 10-day IL versus Trout being on the 60-day IL, but they are both on the IL still. Man, I don't get that one at all. That's super weird.
100%.
Okay.
Jesus. I'm going to get very distracted by all this for sure.
Which is fine. Yeah, Perez being there is fine. I don't think there was really a wrong answer between Perez or Grandal, who Corwin and I, those were our two picks for catcher. Hopefully Gary Sanchez makes it as a backup somewhere in there. The backups still get decided by the managers, I'm pretty sure. But, just because he's been killing it recently and he deserves it. Outside of that, no real complaints at all outside of that one outfield spot. It is very, very odd, but we let the fans decide these things, so it is what it is. And then for the National League, yeah, I mean, this is basically the roster that we had picked too. So obviously, I don't think we have any complaints here.
No, not at all. I mean, again, like I'd love to see Jake Cronenworth get in, but Adam Frazier is having such an excellent season that I don't mind at all. Yeah, that Teoscar Hernandez is really the only one I actually have any issue with.
I didn't even realize he was a finalist. And maybe
I didn't
that's
think he
obviously on
was,
me,
yeah.
but okay.
It happens. It happens.
Well, as long as we're
There's always something every year.
Yeah, that's that's the way it goes when you let fans vote for this shit. So you can only really wait All-Star appearances so much.
Mhm.
So, well, as long as we're talking about
Which
baseball,
at the end of the day is kind of crazy to me, but it happens.
No, I mean, we talk about this with the Pro Bowl all the time too. It's like if the fans vote for it, it really shouldn't count for much, but it does count for something because we weigh other things based on it, like how good of a career someone had when discussing Hall of Fame, how it goes into contract negotiations, it goes into all that type of stuff. So while it really shouldn't matter much because the fans pick it, it obviously still has real world implications. So it does, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then let's talk about Hector Santiago because we have a small update with that. Santiago's suspension was upheld. So where we last left it was Hector Santiago of the Seattle Mariners got his glove checked after a relief outing, as all pitchers are now getting their gloves checked. And the umps decided that there was something sticky on it. They decided that was a foreign substance, and they very unceremoniously put his glove in a bag and presumably shipped it off to
In a trash bag.
Chelsea. Yeah, right. Shipped it off to Chelsea to get looked at, and that was where we left it. And Corwin and I had presumed that MLB was going to, like look at it or something.
Do
Um,
something.
yeah, theoretically, I think we talked about like, they were going to run a basic test to be like, what is this that is on the glove? Because there's lots of things that can be on a glove that could be sticky that would not be against the rules. So let's figure out what that is. And they actually didn't. They basically said, we're just going with whatever the ump said. They said there was something foreign on it or sticky, and that's good enough for us. Now, there is a small quibble with the, I guess, like, I don't know, semantics of the situation, because Hector Santiago was like, I had rosin on my glove because it, nothing crazy. Like I used the rosin bag. I then reached into my mitt. I had rosin on the hand that reached into the glove because I'm a pitcher and I'm a human being with only two hands. And therefore there
Could you
was,
imagine a pitcher with 3 hands?
yeah.
Okay, go. Go.
He'd be no better, but it'd be very fun to watch.
You don't know that.
I do. That's the best part. It would just be like he's got 3 hands, but his WAR is like still like negative 0.1. It's like, oh, that's nifty.
Okay.
He sucks, but that's cool. Anyway. Um, and so apparently part of the crackdown here is that you can't have anything sticky on your glove. So even though it's only rosin and rosin is allowed, and pitchers can actively use it during outings, the fact that rosin made its way onto his glove is an issue. And part of the reason MLB didn't look at it farther, Corbin's making faces, and I fully agree with his faces. Part of the reason MLB didn't look into it farther is because Hector Santiago was like, I probably had rosin on my glove. And they were like, well, okay, neat. You're suspended for 10 days. And the Mariners can't use your roster spot for anything. And it's shit like this, man. It's I don't want to harp on it too much because we spent so much time talking about this type of shit. But just
Well, it
because,
deserves to be talked about as much as we have been.
right, we haven't been giving it more than it's due. I don't think. Just because they're doing something that we theoretically agree with, their execution is fucking terrible with this. It's terrible. It just doesn't make any sense. They're cracking down on this in a bizarre way with so many question marks and uncertainties and disproportionality with the response that, my God, as someone who would like to see something of a crackdown of foreign substances, I'd rather, if this is the alternative, than just say fuck it again, because this is crazy town how they're actually implementing this. I don't know. What do you think of
What
this whole
happens if you
situation?
drop your glove on the mound? Like you take your hand out to dry your hand, you put it under your arm, and you just happen to drop it. It falls on the rosin bag. Automatic
Well,
ejection.
Well, and then that's part of the stupidity of the MLB's opinion. So like part of their thing was like you're supposed to, after you touch up your hand with the rosin bag, like wipe the rosin off on your jersey and then get the ball. And it's like, oh, fucking.
Oh, cool. Now you have rosin on your jersey, and it's a foreign substance.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like it's like you have allowed rosin. Like it's
Yeah.
going to be on stuff. Like it is an
It's
approved
literally
substance.
on the mound. You're providing it to the pitchers to use.
It's like telling a player you can't get your jersey dirty. Yeah, like there's dirt in the infield, and like if you slide, there's dirt, and if you field, there might be some dirt, but you can't get dirt on your jersey. And it's like, but this is your dirt. Like you put the dirt here. And they're like, yeah, but we don't want you to like use it. And you're like, but I can't avoid the dirt. It
Right.
it's the same thing. Rosin's approved. Every pitcher's going to use it because they need it. Otherwise, it wouldn't have gotten approved at any point during the course of MLB history like it did. And now they're making up different rules to avoid a misuse of it that was never the problem. Like how is rosin on the glove an issue, but rosin on the hand that's pitching not an issue?
The
If I
hand
put
that physically goes into the glove to grip the ball.
right, like it's like it's like, all right, you can have spider tack on your fingers, you just can't put it in the glove. And it's like, what the fuck different? What are we talking about? It doesn't make any fucking sense. So,
Like, we joke so much about how MLB is just so efficient at just completely shooting themselves in the foot and causing themselves so much excess just pain and suffering through just the bullshit decisions that they constantly make, and it's just they have yet to prove us wrong. It's insanity.
oh my god, it is. And I really feel for Hector Santiago here too, because here's a guy who genuinely didn't do anything wrong. And when he got asked, like, was there anything on your glove? He gave a very honest answer because he was incredulous over the situation of, yeah, there's rosin here, without realizing that I truly believe without realizing that that was going to get him in any trouble, because why would anyone think it would?
Right.
And this is some very, very odd table setting of the going forward procedures that MLB is laying out, because I'm sure every pitcher in all of baseball at all levels looked at what happened to Hector Santiago. Maybe not with like, that's outrageous, but at least like, fucking really? Like,
Hmm.
do I have to worry about this now? And that's not something, a reaction that, that's not a reaction that everybody that pitches in your sport should probably have. So, yeesh. Yeesh.
Thanks, MLB. You are giving us so much to discuss, and we thank you.
Which brings us to the next topic, which is another rather heavy topic, and it once again involves Trevor Bauer. Now, we've talked about Trevor Bauer a lot, especially in the past few weeks, because of the face that he has made of himself, of the sticky stuff situation and storyline. And I want to be very clear at the outset of the conversation we're about to have, to whatever capacity we have it, that while I feel a level of disdain against Trevor Bauer because I think he's just an asshole, and Corwin feels a
I
level of
agree.
disdain of, yeah, Trevor Bauer because he's just an asshole, and we've talked about him a lot in a generally superficial sense of like baseball stuff and why he's like a baseball heel. Um, that is entirely separate of the current situation, and really it shouldn't, the two shouldn't meld because they're two vastly different issues and conversations, one of which is again very superficial on the field baseball stuff, and the other one is a real world thing. And that is, a Trevor Bauer has now been accused by a woman of sexual assault and domestic violence, and a athletic article has been released about it. She has filed for a restraining order. There's been a lot of details released. Apparently, it's like some text messages, some photos, some other types of things that are really awful, very awful, and that in of itself, there's so much to say about the nature of the systems in place that kind of let a guy like Trevor Bauer, not even him necessarily particularly, but a guy like him, just kind of like a average white guy, be able to do, feel like he can do whatever he wants to do. And that's another conversation, the totally valid conversation. But just to I guess limit it a little bit to the baseball side of it, it's been a startling response by the Dodgers. And I guess that's where I want to start, because in the wake of this, um, Trevor Bauer is still going to Washington, D.C., and is still scheduled to make his start tomorrow against the Nationals.
Mhm.
And when asked about it, Dave Roberts said it's out of our hands. MLB is going to do what they got to
Right.
do, and we're going to play him. And I can't imagine a worse stance to take on the issue. Obviously, signing him in the first place, knowing that he's a creep and has harassed women on Twitter and made misogynistic comments, made like MAGA-ish comments in the past as well. All those are real red flags and concerns, and the Dodgers threw all that to the wind because they believed in his spin rate and on-field ability and all that stupid bullshit that really doesn't matter nearly as much as the real world things. And you'd think that they'd have a spine, a moral compass when it comes to stuff like this. And I can't imagine a bigger slap in the face of any decent baseball fan, the domestic violence survivors community, women just in general, and women in the sport of baseball. It's been unreal how this has been handled by MLB. Uh,
It's one of those things where we always talk about, innocent until proven guilty. Um, I read through the article by the Athletic, and by all means, it was something where Bauer genuinely didn't seem like he was trying to, how do I want to put this? Violently assault her in a way that would be undeniably considered, there's some details here that would involve, a miscommunication, some God, it's so tough because, she says a lot of things admitting, consent was given for some acts, consent was not given for others, and a lot of things were committed when she was unconscious. And if those are true, Trevor Bauer is undoubtedly guilty. Um, it's really tough at this point to kind of, even as much as I hate Trevor Bauer, commit to pulling him, locking him up, benching him when the precedent and the law is always going to be innocent until proven guilty. Obviously, the U.S. legal system is going to take these matters into their own hands, and they will, hand out their decision in several years when that comes about, because that's just how these legal, cases, and it takes so much time. Um, that being said, my goodness, this is such a disgusting stance to have, where someone is accused of committing an act. There is, an extensive amount of evidence proving that this act was committed and things were done, and he fully admits to committing them. And your only response is, eh, not my decision. My decision is whether or not to start him. If I'm allowed to start him, I'm going to start him because I'm here to win baseball games. It's like, yeah, we know you want to win baseball games, and this is the Los Angeles Dodgers, and you have that expectation. At the same time, why would you not be held to a higher standard as one of the premier teams in MLB, as one of, the premier franchises, as just human fucking beings? Why would you not hold yourself to that higher standard? And I get wanting to put baseball first and keep the outside world outside of baseball. I get it. But there's certain things that matter more than baseball. And at the end of the day, at the very least, skip a start, sit him down, talk to him, figure out, you know, talk about this with him, talk about this with her. Do your due diligence as a franchise. Don't just leave it to the league. Leave it to the, US justice system to do their part. Be proactive in this. Hey, we're going to skip your start. It's not a big deal. We'll use it as a rest day if this turns into nothing. If we go through this and it is something, we don't want to have you out there throughout all this. It just doesn't seem unreasonable.
it's not. And if it seems unreasonable, anyone that refuses to acknowledge that off-field matters and how they are represented in baseball means something and has a genuine impact. Anyone who refuses to acknowledge that should not be allowed to wear a Jackie Robinson jersey on Jackie Robinson Day. anyone who refuses to acknowledge that shouldn't be allowed to hold any type of pride gear during Pride Month. Anyone who refuses to acknowledge that shouldn't be allowed to wear military appreciation gear on Memorial Day, Father's Day gear on Father's Day, Mother's Day gear on Mother's Day. There are so many instances of representation that we all agree have a lot of meaning, that are baked into the way baseball presents itself, conducts itself, and shows itself to the public, that we can all obviously agree that what you do in response to off-field concerns that show themselves within the game of baseball means something. To say that we are not going to sit Trevor Bauer while he is accused of fracturing a woman's skull during sex that she did not consent to at some point during the act, and because we want to win baseball games and we can separate the two, shows that you don't give a flying fuck about any of the levels of representation that baseball has shown. And that is inherently against what the sport means, what the sport should mean going forward, and all of the wonderful things that many people within baseball and MLB that do good work have been trying to go for. If you refuse to see what the point of Jackie Robinson Day is, then I don't know what the fuck we're doing here. It's bullshit. And obviously there's also larger conversations that are here about the nature of consent within sex, the nature of just really how functioning relationships are supposed to work, and what one wants, what is legal within the realm of consent. You can't consent for someone to kill you. Even if you went up to someone and like hired your own hitman, that's still breaking the law. You can't consent to someone fracturing your skull. Like there's things that legal ground will cover whether you say you want it or not, due to public safety concerns that are happened here, that are real, that are very real. And the fact that the Dodgers, you're a team, you can sit and start whoever the fuck you want. Like, we see it happen all the time. It's not new. Aaron Judge sat in a baseball game yesterday because Aaron Boone said he was tired. Like, we sit players all the time. It's not weird for pitchers to get an extra day of rest if they need it. You don't need to have a handed down from MLB on high reason to not start a player in a given day, especially when it's a serious reason to do so. And again, this isn't necessarily even specifically a Trevor Bauer thing, but it's MLB's way of conducting themselves within having to deal with these issues time and again. And they have come up a lot, especially within the last few years. A fucking lot, from a lot of players, from a lot of front office people. And they have done so shockingly little and so shockingly poorly handled every single time this has come up. Jared Porter with the Mets, Mickey Callaway with the Angels, Roberto Osuna with the Astros. Like, every time this has come up, the whole Houston Astros front office, it has been handled so atrociously. Aroldis Chapman with the Yankees, Domingo Germán with the Yankees. Like, it's and this one, because of the brutal nature of it, and because of how much detail came out so quickly to the story breaking, MLB has a chance to actually stand by the side of women in this fucking sport and stand by the side of domestic violence survivors as a community. Again, there's so many ramifications for this. To teach a lot of people, a lot of young men who play baseball, what consent means and how it can change during the course of sex. Like, a very important lesson that clearly is lacking at some level within the male community of baseball. And they're just choosing not to. And yes, it's still early. Yes, it's still only been 24, 48 hours. Understand it. Got it. However, that's kind of the most important time to do something. And to sit down Trevor Bauer from MLB, let alone the fact that the Dodgers are fucking assholes for this, and just say, we don't have all the details, but in light of the accusations, while we begin our investigation, we're going to issue some level. We're going to request that the Dodgers sit Trevor Bauer for a couple starts. We're going to put him on a restricted list. He's not suspended. He's on a restricted list. There's some differences while pending further investigation. Stuff like that they could do to show that they're taking it seriously in a public sense, which matters a whole lot what you do publicly. And they're not. That's the hard part. And again, this one in particular has Aroldis Chapman and Domingo Germán, to go with the Yankees ones. Those ones are so easy, I think, for a lot of, especially again, I'm going to really focus this in on the men needing to learn a lesson here. Those are very easy for a lot of men to brush off as like, obviously that's bad. Shooting a gun in the presence of your wife in a intimidating fashion. Obviously that's bad. Slapping your girlfriend in front of your coworkers at a work event. Obviously that's bad. I wouldn't do that. Duh. A true lesson about what consent means during sex and how consent can change, what can be consented and what cannot be consented, and what your role is as a responsible partner is actually a very meaningful lesson that baseball, with its outreach to young men, to athletes at D1 schools, down to high school, down to even middle school, absolutely should learn. And MLB has a chance to be a vehicle for positive, very positive change in what is a very real and awful part of many women's lives. And now is a good, it's a wonderful opportunity. That's bad. It is an opportunity for them to actually affect real change off the baseball field by saying something, being vocal, being supportive of a community, and offer resources to domestic violence survivors and organizations that do work to better educate about consent, and they're not doing anything yet. And the fact that they can't be out in front of this type of stuff, I mean, and by that I mean refuse to, it's just so fucking depressing. Because women who follow the sport, anyone who survived domestic violence and follows the sport, but it affects women the most because it's not like these guys who don't really have any out players in baseball, and none that ever get accused of hitting their husbands. So especially affects the women that followed the sport. They shouldn't have to wait for a response. They shouldn't have to go, oh, well, it's only been 2 days. Fuck that. That's not support. Fuck that. Absolutely not. They deserve a response right away. They certainly do. Because for a lot of people, baseball is supposed to be fun. And when it gets real like this, I'm sure a lot of people would like assurance that the right thing is being done. And MLB does not do that.
Of course, there's, a certain level of due diligence that needs to be done before any serious, penalties are kind of handed down and punishment is handed down. But no action is it's just straight up unacceptable.
Right. And even if suspending Trevor Bauer or whatever isn't the first thing they do, like Corwin said, I'm sure it's like there's systems in place and yada yada. I get that, and Corwin gets that. I think everyone understands that, especially with a lot of workers' rights laws and the fact that MLB has a union. That type of stuff might not be so easy. Totally understand that side of it. Does not preclude you from issuing a statement, putting out information for hotlines, resources, making information about these types of occurrences and how men can better educate themselves and how we as fans can can increase our knowledge about these types of instances in case these types of things come up in any of our lives or people within our lives. That is stuff that you can do from the jump, just while we sort out the HR side of things that will take us more time or whatever. we also understand that this is very hard for some people. Here are some resources, something to that effect.
Mhm.
And that's the part that they can't seem to ever get right. No one expects them to come up with the perfect human resources solution right away. And honestly, they probably shouldn't be allowed to like fire anybody or kick anybody out of the sport with any immediacy, because again, workers' rights laws seem to, like they should prevent exactly that type of thing. But
And again, due diligence.
right,
Nobody should be losing their jobs without it being proven one way or the other.
right. But they can absolutely do other things, and it's
Mhm.
that part that they seem to never get right. So we'll keep tabs on this one. It is so heartbreaking when, again, the outlets that we choose for entertainment intersect with life in a very real and sad fashion. But these types of things are very important, and obviously, Corwin and I hope that we're doing our best to represent represent these issues fairly and with compassion. But as always, please tell us if we have not, and we will do better.
Absolutely.
Uh, to finish up on something a little bit less sad, shall we close out talking about the NIL and Reggie Bush?
Um, do you want to talk about Reggie Bush now, or do you want to save it till we have time for a longer discussion on the NIL and everything that's going on? Your call.
Well, actually, we'll save it for later. We'll just say the NCAA has officially enacted the policy that players can make money
Profit
off of
off
their
of
likeness.
name, image, and likeness. Yep.
Right. That's what NIL stands for. Corwin had to tell me what it stood for like 5 minutes before we started recording. Much longer discussion to be had, and I guess we'll have that probably for Monday's episode. But I'm glad that obviously there can't be more pushback. I went to the Supreme Court, but it's nice that it's happened quickly and players get the chance to do that shit ASAP. So,
Make your money.
yeah, there's been a lot of public comment about it because college football, in a lot of ways, has just as large, if not larger, a following than the NFL, especially in certain places. So there's been a lot of discourse about it. So obviously we have a lot to say about it as well. And again, there's been some resurfacing of conversations surrounding Reggie Bush and his Heisman Award. So we'll talk about that as well. But that will all be wrapped up, baked up, and presented in Monday's episode. So you'll have to wait till then. But this episode is coming out on Friday, so you don't have to wait very long. You were in work today? No work on Monday, and juicing the numbers hits your earlobes. So you're lucky
Man,
boys, lucky
took a day
girls,
off on
lucky days.
Thursday. Don't have work on Monday. You think I'm doing anything productive tomorrow?
Dude, I
Actually, I'm
nothing's
working with
happening
Tom
to work
tomorrow,
tomorrow.
so I think I actually am doing
Oh,
a lot of work. Yeah, oh, fuck.
that
You know
sucks.
what? One day of work over a 5-day period, I'll accept that.
I guess if you have to.
Right? Like, it's
Oh well.
okay. I take my own time. I take what I need.
Yeah, I'm with you. Uh,
One of my
all right.
favorite Simpsons jokes is, Lisa, you do the taxes for your family? I take what I need.
Uh, good old Simpsons. It'll be here long after we're all gone.
Yeah.
Simpsons season 76.
Don't joke. You'll
It's gonna
turn into
happen.
reality. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, let's get on out of here. So if you want to follow the show on Twitter, you can do so at Choosing Pod. If you'd like to follow Corwin on Twitter, you can do so at Corwin Heller. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at Joshua D. Tracy. Reach out, let us know, hit us up. If you'd like to follow, hit us up via email, you can do so at juicethenumbers@gmail.com. And that's it, folks. That's all, folks. So until Monday, y'all have a good one.
Except for you, Trevor Bauer.